Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Keefe, editor-in-chief of The Quintessential Gentleman, and today we are talking to Mr. Khalil Thompson, one of the co-founders of NIL FanBox. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. I'm staying warm. It's pretty cold. I'm up north, but also you're in Atlanta, so you're cold too. So,
Yeah, we've gotten snow 2 times in 10 days down here, and Atlanta isn't built for this.
yep.
So the weather needs to stop acting up and get back to the standard operating procedures.
Also, we need to realize there's global warming, and Atlanta need to realize that they need to get the things in order so that everybody can be safe. So I got it. So first and foremost, I want to know, let's just talk about NILs, right? I don't know if too many people, or at least my audience, may be fully aware of what it is. NILs, I know, are like the name, image, and likeness, but can you just give me a little brief history, a little background of like what NIL is and kind of how it benefits and is beneficial to the believe it's like the collegiate, and is it high school too or just collegiate athletes?
Well, NIL does extend down to high school athletes as well. Some states allow people to get young athletes to be compensated through NIL. In Georgia, as a matter of fact, kids can get paid here. But, kind of taking a step back and you're looking at it, back in the day, when I was in college, student athletes couldn't get paid. And I think for a long time, people looked at this and said, okay, these schools are making billions of dollars off of these athletes and they're not getting anything in return aside from a free education. So about 2.5, 3 years ago, was passed where schools, athletes could start getting compensated through NIL, name, image, and likeness is what that stands for. Um, it was really the wild, wild west at the time. Like people were trying to figure out how this was going to work. Um, you know, or this going to be like big corporate sponsors are going to come in? Like, how is NIL going to work, and how are we going to be able to pay all these athletes? And I think in the evolution of things, I think it's 100% a good thing. These kids should 100% be getting paid. You look at this national championship game and the whole college football playoff run that just happened. The ratings are through the roof. Everybody's making money, and the kids should be able to participate in that as well. So I think it's a very good thing. And we're still in the early stages of NIL, and we're going to see how things settle out. We want to make sure, though, that along the way, everybody's represented in NIL. It's not just the big sports, right? You got to think about how the non-revenue sports are compensated, and then you got to make sure that those payments go across gender lines as well, with men and both men and women getting paid well. So, yeah, that's kind of a brief history of where NIL is now. And like when you look at NIL as a whole, I think there's two kind of buckets of NIL. Like you have individual brand deals that kids will get, right? So if you see like an Armando Baycott or RJ Davis in a Hyatt commercial, right? That's an individual brand deal. And then you have like NIL from a standpoint of school that's just basically paying out what amounts to a base salary to some of their athletes, right? And that's also NIL. So I think as things start to settle out, you'll see that hey, there's like a base compensation that athletes are going to get, and then layered on top of that, with your different brand deals, each athlete has the ability to make even more money off of their own name, image, and likeness.
Okay, awesome. I mean, it makes sense and definitely something that should have happened. Happy that it's here now. I think, are there like some concerns based off of how much money these kids are getting and them stopping, kind of maybe like maybe not going to college or maybe not going even trying to go straight pro and things of that nature just based off of like the increase of money that they're now getting, which is different than what they have in the past?
I know some people have that concern, but I don't. What I see that has you literally see right now is NIL has one. It's increased parity across sport, especially football, because it used to be a world where you could just stack your benches up with all these 5-star players, and the allure to those athletes were, oh, come play here. You're going to sit on the bench, but then you're going to go pro because I'm going to teach you how to be a pro. Right. You can't afford with the world in the NIL landscape to pay all those athletes to be on the bench. So what happens? Those athletes end up going to different schools, right? And they get a chance to play. So that's where you see like teams like Indiana or SMU seemingly pop out of nowhere to be in the playoff picture. So I think the parity across sport, I think, is good. I think also when you look at NIL and like the money that kids are getting at this age, like it's what America is founded on, right? Like we all talk about like finding out a way, finding a skill, learning how to do something, being real good at it, and getting paid to do it. Like they are literally doing what we tell everybody to do. And does there need to be responsibility around making that much money while that young? Absolutely, right? And I think a lot of these collegiate institutions are helping kids think through like, hey, look, how do you position yourself to manage this money well, so it doesn't just go, it's not gone in like a flash in the pan. And I think the other part when you look at NIL landscape too is, you're making this money, you're making it while you're young, but it's also allowing kids to actually stay in school longer. We talked to Anton Jameson, and he was like, he had told us like, hey, look, I felt this pressure to go to the league because I wanted to change my family's life, right? We grew up poor and I needed to hurry up and get to the league. Like now you don't have that pressure anymore. You can actually stay and say like, oh no, I actually, this free education I'm supposed to be getting, I can stay the full 4 years and actually get the education and get the degree, right? I can get paid while I'm here. I can learn how to play the sport better. I can become better, a better athlete, and be better prepared to go into the NBA, NFL, or whatever. And if you even look at some of the success that you've seen in the NFL this year with some of the quarterbacks that have been playing, like you look, Jaden Daniels, like this kid was in college he transferred, he was in college for 5 years, 4 years, right? And he's older, but now in the NFL thriving. You see the same thing with the Broncos quarterback. I can't think of his name right now. Bo Nix, right? So it's allowing kids to get more experience under their belt, and it's actually taking the pressure off of them from having to jump pro quickly and preparing them to be a better pro when they get there.
Awesome, awesome. Makes sense. So talk to me about your NIL FanBox, which is a product that you created specifically for, I guess it's one way for people to be able to kind of have memorabilia about particular athletes, but then also there's a revenue stream behind it. But just talk us through it.
Yeah. So when we started this, like my business partner and I, Terry, like we both were avid sports card fans as kids, right? And as a kid, when you get these pack of cards, like there was these moments of excitement, delight that were tied to it. Like, I got this box of cards. I'm gonna open it up. I know I'm about to get some awesome shit in here, but I have no idea what it's going to be exactly, right? And we were thinking about that. Like that was a manifestation of our fandom of the sports that we loved, but then also the players. And we thought about this and said, like, okay, now that we're adults with grown up money, what would a product look like that could evoke those same feelings
Mhm.
while connecting us closer to the athletes and the programs that we love? So we ended up creating the NIL fan box. And the box is a box full of autographed collectibles from your favorite stars at your chosen school. We have so many cool things in there, from autographed pieces of a basketball court to signed baseballs, trading cards, posters, prints, and more. And it's really just a celebration of fandom, and it's a way for athletes, for fans to connect deeper with the athletes that they love too. Like, actually, I can hold this up. We do what we call dynamic memorabilia. So, like, I have this print right here in front of me.
Oh, it's gonna be hard with the with the blur. Okay.
I got this print right here, Vince Young winning the national championship, and there's a QR code in the lower corner. So when we got him to sign that piece, we also did an interview with him, and we asked him about like that moment, what that moment mean to you, right? He went through this whole story about like growing up in South Houston and like his life flashing before his eyes as he was running across excuse me, his life flashing before his eyes as he was running across the goal line, from being a kid rolling around in South Houston, playing football to stay out of trouble, to delivering this national championship to his home state, and how much that meant for him, right? So it allows fans to get to know their favorite athletes a little bit more, and kind of know the history and the everything behind the iconic moments that they love.
So all of the pieces of merchandise, how do you go about organizing the merchandise itself to it being signed to then putting together the actual box itself to then shipping it out. I'm trying now. I'm like, this is
Supply
a whole
chain.
operation.
Yeah, it's no easy undertaking. I'll tell you that much, right? Luckily, my business partner is an industrial engineer, and he has a background in designing these systems.
Right.
But it's a lot. Like we literally we have to go through licensing images from each one of the athletes, right? And then we have to take those images and then either design them into a product. Then we have to get that product shipped to the school and do a signing day and a content capture day with them. We then ship those to another warehouse where then once they get to that warehouse, that team then curates the boxes and puts all the pieces together. And then as the orders come in, they ship them out, right? So that was a very broad stroke answer to your question, but there are a lot of moving pieces to
Yeah.
pulling this off. But ultimately, it's worth it because when you see the excitement on somebody's face when they get one of these boxes, when they're opening it up, and it's the way the unboxing experience, you're opening up all these multiple things. Like you open up the box and you open up your poster tube and you open up your trading card thing. So it's like this constant wave of dopamine that's hitting you in micro doses as you go. When you see the faces of the people light up as they're doing it, it makes it all worth it, right? Because that's what it's all about. It's like just helping people like not only validate their fandom, but just have a place to put their fandom on display.
So, what's the roster look like in terms of the clientele or the athletes that you have? Is it based just on all schools? Is it, particular grade level or particular success level? How do you determine who what athletes kind of you create these boxes for?
Yeah, so it's driven by the school. So the schools that we partner with actively, we are partnered with North Carolina, Texas, and Ohio State. I was
Okay.
telling Carmen as we're getting on this call that we're so excited that we have a championship fan box with Ohio State, which is it's really really cool. Um, so those are three active partners that we have. We have some other inactive ones that we're going to kick off later on this year. But so once we choose the school that we're working with every year, we go to them and say like, hey, here's a roster of athletes across sports, across genders that we would like to work with. And we have, like in North Carolina, we've worked with the women's field hockey team and the volleyball team, and we've also worked with basketball and football. We've worked, so we're hitting all of the sports. But what we do is we come up with a list. We try to make sure that 40% on average of our athletes are female to make sure that everyone's represented. But yeah, we we come up with a list of athletes and then we go talk with them and then we get them signed up and we go have them sign all the stuff and start capturing their stories.
Awesome. So when it comes to creating the content or the merchandise itself, is that all in-house, right? So you guys are the ones who is like, okay, we want a poster, we want a ball, we want a glove or whatever the case may be. How is it? Or I guess let me take a step back. What's included inside the boxes? Let's start there.
Yeah, inside the box you get autographed posters, prints, trading cards, autographed basketball pieces. We'll do a special license item like this drip cup that we did with RJ Davis. Um, uh, and yes, you get autographed baseballs and trophy cases and different types of things. So there's a litany of different items that can come inside of the box at any given time.
Okay. And then ultimately you guys all are the ones that create kind of the creative direction between what that looks like as well.
Yeah. We have in-house design team. We design up all the posters and the prints and packaging, the whole nine.
I'm inspired because it's a lot of work. It's like, I'm just thinking, oh, it's about you partner. But no, there are, and especially everything that you all are doing, it's very intricate, right? And you're doing it specific for each player or each college or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'm definitely amazed and enthusiastic about what you all are doing. In terms of the schools that you're working with, what is the ultimate goal? Is it just, do you want to be able to do all the schools, or do you have kind of this idea of the particular representation you want to focus on?
Yeah, I mean, I think big picture in the sky, we absolutely want to work with every college. I think every fan of every college should be able to connect with their favorite athletes the way that FanBox allows you to. It is an evolution of the fan experience. It bridges the gap between game day to your fan cave to your home. It allows you to feel these deeper connections with the programs and the athletes that you love. And I think every fan deserves to be able to have that. I think when we look at the big picture, ultimately, we want to work more closely with athletic departments um, to provide like a full holistic solution across different channels within the school as well. I mean, we have a big vision of where we want to take everything, but it starts and stops with us with the fan experience, right? We consider ourselves a fan experience brand. Yes, we do sell memorabilia, but it's all about creating a euphoric fan experience for our customers.
And I just imagine, whatever athletes go on to become bigger stars, like there's this legacy piece. Again, like we said, the trading cards are worth a lot of money at this point now, which I'm assuming that these NIL boxes, fan boxes, the materials inside will also gross and become a lot. Just imagine if you had, LeBron James, you had an NIL fan box, back in, well, LeBron James, he went straight pro, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone who was, had one back then and then now 20-year career, and now you have those things and how big that will, kind of take off and things like that. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I have this Drake May autograph card sitting in my house right now. He's killing it up in New England as a quarterback, right? And, I think to myself, like, yeah, like we collect all these things over the years from these athletes. And not only will you have that tangible piece, that tangible collectible there, but you'll have that story from that moment in time from that athlete as well, right? So you can completely take yourself right back into the mental space and the headspace of where they were at that moment in time. And I think that's something that's super special because I would love to know, what Michael Jordan was thinking when he hit that shot to help North Carolina win a national championship all those years ago. I would love to know what like that Miami, the 2001 Miami football team, like the behind the scenes stuff with this crazy group of guys who was just destroying everybody on the football field. And like we hear about it in passing now through like these stories, but they're almost like fables from the past, right? And being able to have those moments memorialized forever and just like in your home someplace, I think is really special and unique.
And my last question for you is the expansion piece. What is it that you want to expand specifically inside the box that you don't currently have? What are the type of things you would like to be able to include in the future?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like our box is pretty robust, but like the fan experience should always be evolving in our minds, right? So like we're open to like lots of different things. Like we have space, we can put mini helmets and mini basketballs in there, right? I think that's cool. We know like a lot of our products are open with kids and like kids want to take something out of the box. So maybe we put bobblehead dolls in there, something like that. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for us to go in many directions to add things into the box. And we're constantly innovating and thinking about like how we can evolve the fan experience. So every time somebody gets one of our products, it feels fresh and new and it doesn't feel like just like it doesn't just feel like a run back of what I had the previous year. So um, I think there's a lot that we would love to do. There's a lot of stuff that's like pie in the sky. Like we joke around, it's like, man, if I could just get the bleachers from one of these stadiums, I could chop that up and have people sign it and put it like so. It's like there's a lot of opportunities out here, and I think we're just going to continue to just work with college programs, see the things that like make them uniquely special, and figure out how we can curate the best experience for their fans and put the stuff in there that is going to speak to them, and just make sure that fan experience stays consistently elevated.
Awesome. And the actual boxes or kind of the creative ideas and stuff, do you change that up each season, each year? Is it kind of just, when we have an idea, we just change it up, or just kind of how do you go into kind of implementing some of those changes?
Yeah, so the box itself stays the same. The outside of the box stays the same every year, as for right now. But like the designs on the inside change every year. So your poster designs are changing. Prints you can't really change because it's just a print, right? But the stuff that's on the inside, we're constantly changing that because it's like, okay, how do we tell the story of this season? That's kind of what we how we look at it, right? Each box is a season. It's like a time capsule of a season. So how do we tell the story of this season within the box? So we make sure that we weave that theme throughout the designs for that year.
Awesome, awesome. Oh, that's amazing. Again, I am very amazed. And congratulations. This is a enterprise you have there, and I cannot wait for it to continue to grow. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.